Hello you fantastic people, and welcome back to another Borderlands 3 video. Hope you guys are all doing well. In this one I have a bit of an exciting one for you guys, which I'm keen as heck to bring to you. It's my level 65 Mayhem 10 Rakk attack build for bossing and mobbing. This thing absolutely destroys all the things in this game. You can do any takedown, any mobbing situation, any boss goes down in seconds, but don't take my word for it. Check out the clips on screen. I'm going to immediately just start off with absolutely disrespecting Graveward for I don't know how long, but there's so many weapons that just absolutely destroy him so damn quick in base game DLCs. By the way, if you don't have DLC, don't stress. This is a non-DLC specific build. If you have DLC items, sweet. That just means you have more variety of weapons you can choose from. But there is a ton of super strong base game weapons that are literally like the strongest weapons in their respective class, which is amazing. Ton of fun, really good for builds, etc. But yeah, like I said, this build, ton of fun, super strong. There is pretty much immunity to all damage strats in this build, which means you cannot go down, and if you use all of them, you flat out won't in any situation, which is amazing. But if you guys are flak mains, chances are you don't care about damage immunity. You just want to do as much damage as possible, and this build definitely caters for that. It is amazing. You do not need any gold rolls for this to work, by the way, so it doesn't matter if you guys are relatively new to the game. If you've been playing it since the very start and have a ton of loot, a ton of gear and all that stuff, doesn't matter if you don't have too much time to farm for gear. You literally take any viable weapon and it will work very well with this build. This build is essentially if Alpha Flak had a twin brother and just was Rakk attack. A little bit of a different setup, a little bit different gear, but other than that, they both do tons of damage, and they're super strong in the health department as well. But yeah, in this video I'm going to go over the level 65 skill tree, which is so damn tanky. Absolutely love it. Of course, all the weapons you guys are going to want, the anointments you guys are going to want. If you want to go for the absolute god rolls, you can work towards those if you would like. The class mods, shields, all the gear and all that kind of stuff as well as the Mayhem modifiers, because those things really do absolutely destroy builds or make them even better, honestly. But yeah, as always, hopefully those clips are doing the build justice. This thing was a ton of fun to run through the takedown today, actually multiple times, with a different like loadout of weapons each time, because I wanted to try out so many of them. There's actually quite a few weapons that made it into the build today, which I really didn't expect to, because I hadn't used them for ages. But now I'd highly recommend you guys checking those out. As for anointments for this thing, you guys want to run 100% ASC as your main one, because with Rakk attack, you're spamming that ability, which means you get your action skill and pretty much all the time. And if you're going to run out, just hit Rakk attack again, and you'll never run out of racks with this build as well, which is a huge bonus. So you're going to have that 100% extra weapon damage all the time. Other options are consecutive hits for high fire rate multi-pallet weapons, things like shotguns, the light show, the monarch, etc. Next to mags, bonus elemental damage is also a really good thing, because you're going to have that procced all the damn time as well. But yeah, those are probably the only anointments I'd recommend for the build, how we've got it set up today. As for weapons, there is a huge variety, again, DLC and non-DLC as well. Starting with the critical, this thing is so much fun to use in particularly mobbing situations. Bosses, it does pretty good, but mobbing is where it shines. Put it over to sticky mode, and that explosion radius is huge. It's kind of crazy. The Convergence is an amazing shotgun in DLC 4. If you guys haven't got this, would highly recommend. It's really good for mobbing and bossing. Hopefully you guys saw the clip at the start against Graveward. Absolutely shreds him, and this isn't particularly a god roll. You can definitely get stronger ones. Starved Beast, another really good one, hard to obtain from DLC 4 as well, but a really good high fire rate. There's a huge damage variance on this, by the way. You can get even stronger ones in this, and you can get ones that are almost half the damage on this, which is kind of crazy. So make sure you keep an eye out on the damage. The Chaos, absolutely amazing base game assault rifle. This thing is like laser fired, so much fun to use. Really good for just one dink in melee one guys in the head. It's kind of amazing. The light shows, of course, staple in all the builds. This thing is crazy. The Moonfire, just ignore that I got that in the takedown today. The Flood, this thing I would highly recommend if you guys haven't used it recently. I did not expect to use it. I just found it today in my vault and was like, oh, that's a cool roll. I'll try it out. This thing actually wrecks, particularly in mobbing situations against the melee one guys. You don't even need to use the whole mag on each person. It just probably 3 shots each on the head and just destroys them. It's a really good weapon if you want to match it with Galaxy Brain, because this thing has a crazy high recoil. So if you get up nice and close, have Galaxy Brain, all of those shots are going to hit them in the head and they'll go down super quick. The Hell Shock, amazing base game weapon. This thing's really good for bossing, mobbing, all that good stuff. The Kaiozen, I left this in here. I got another one literally just farming for the clips today. This one is not a very good roll, but if you guys get a good one, ×2 pellets, elemental type, 100% AC, it's going to absolutely shred all the things. Got a few more Starved Beasts in here for the game save file. There's always one in the description, by the way, for PC if you guys want to check that one out. Apologies for console players, I can't get your save file, but if you guys want to join the Discord or check out the comment section, people are more than happy to trade in the Borderlands 3 community. They're pretty awesome like that. Of course, the Monarch's absolutely amazing. The Breath of Dying, if I didn't already show the clip, I'm going to show it now. This thing one dinks pretty much everything with its blobs. It's kind of amazing. I'm pretty sure I one dinked the Kraken today. It was actually filthy. So ton of fun. Definitely get yourselves one of those. The Chaos, again, some good anointments on here. This is really good for taking down Wotan, Kraken, literally just anything armed just goes down super quick. The Boomsicle, I don't know how I pulled this off so many times in a row, but the Boomsicle is dropping way more often for me, at least in the world drop system. I never get these, and I managed to get like 3 already at level 65, which is kind of crazy. If you can get those, it's a really strong weapon as well. Got a few more convergence in here for the save file if you guys want to mess around. I got this from the Takedown today. I wouldn't recommend it. It's just still in the inventory. The Hellwalker, absolutely amazing shotgun. I'm sure you guys have all heard about it. It's been posted everywhere that this thing is the strongest shotgun in the game. But for the 1% of people that haven't, get yourselves a Hellwalker. It's in base game. It's amazing. It drops on Road Dog. Doesn't drop very often, so I'd actually recommend going the world drop system to try and find it. This thing one-shots everything. Doesn't matter if it resists fire. Doesn't matter if it's armored. It'll take it down. It's kind of crazy. The Major Kong DLC for a rocket launcher. This thing can one-shot most bosses, probably all of them if you really put in the extra effort. But even with the simple setup that I have here, not really built for one-shotting, it still one-shots Graveward, it still one-shots Traunt, all that good stuff. The Lyudas as well, got a couple of these in here. These things are amazing for lasering those stupid little orb sphere things in the Takedown. Really good for that, and just taking down any boss, honestly, in the game. Krakatoa, likewise, really good at taking down bosses like Graveward really quickly. As for shields, you actually have quite a few options for this build. The stopgap is essentially if you want to be immune to pretty much everything in the game, get yourselves one of these with that anoint on it. It is a little harder to find. Check vending machines, the Zeds meds, every time you farm a boss, and you'll definitely find one eventually. You get quite a few stopgaps out of there. It's just that anointment that's a little hard to find. This is pretty much a god roll with max capacity on there. It is really, really strong. And if you can get bullet absorb on there, then that would be the actual god roll. If you guys don't mind being squishy with flak, I want to have some more fun. The Frozen Heart, a difficult shield to obtain. It drops only from Aurelia, and she does, at least in my experience, tend to be a bit scummy on the drops, but this thing is a ton of fun to mess around with. Essentially, same anoint, whenever you hit Rakk attack, you put out a huge Cryo Nova, which freezes everything, aka they can't shoot, they can't move, and you just one dink everything in their head. It's actually so much fun. And you actually heal yourself with that Nova as well. Other options, if you guys don't want to put in the extra time for farming those, an easy shield to obtain is the Transformer. Same thing, vending machines, but they drop way more often and you don't have to worry about god rolls. Pretty much any of them with a elemental ASC on there. Turn on Pool Party and you're pretty much going to be immortal also. Essentially, Pool Party, whenever you break an enemy's shield, it will drop an electric puddle on the ground. Stand in that, the Transformer gets charged from it, and you are pretty much indestructible. It's so much fun. The last one, the Old God, I keep this in here for pretty much every build just for bossing purposes. It's a level 61, but it's a god roll level 61, so any level 65 one I've seen so far literally has less capacity than it, so I'm just keeping this until I find my god roll level 65. It's only in there for bossing for extra fire damage. Essentially, that's its Takedown Graveward that little bit faster, and Tyree and stuff like that. If you guys can get one of those, it's from DLC 2. As for grenades, you would definitely want to have ASC elemental damage on it, whatever you pick. I would recommend Cloning Hunter Seeker, Mitosis Hunter Seeker, all that good stuff. This is for stacking the Pearl really quick and also getting your kill skills via the Bounty Hunter class mod. Other than that, I could recommend the P grenade. This is a really good thing for bossing situations as well, because you get 20% extra damage to any enemy that's hit by this grenade for 6 seconds. So it's a really good way to take down bosses quickly. As for class mod, like you saw, it is the Bounty Hunter class mod. This thing is pretty much the GOAT class mod for flak right now for bossing and mobbing situations. We have pretty much enough roles in here to work out for any individual weapon, class, etc. to do a ton of damage. If you guys want to obtain any of these, I know I have a lot of crazy good god rolls in here, but your boy plays flak a lot. My recommendation is go to Tanzania Ruins, go farm Preston. Here's the dedicated drop for the Bounty Hunter class mod. Go up the elevator and past him. There is a new station very close. There's also a vending machine. Check Zed's meds every time you farm Preston. That is the best way to get bounty hunters quickly in this game. As for artifact, of course, the Pearl, it's the strongest. It's the easy option. It is just the best artifact in the game. DLC 2 though, so if you don't have that one, don't stress, plenty of options. You guys can get the Snowdrift Auto Idle for a ton of survivability. You can get Snowdrift Victory Rush for a ton of survivability and damage as well. The other one I keep on me at all times is the Cart Personal Launchpad. Essentially means you can have ammo at all times, regardless of vending machines in the Guardian Takedown, particularly because you run out of ammo in there regularly. So you just jump, slam on the ground, and that will get you ammo back in there at whatever gun you're holding really quick. As for Mayhem modifiers, these definitely aren't perfect. Mayhem modifiers do my head in, and I waste way too much time trying to get the good ones for each build, but this is pretty close. You want Holy Crit for extra damage if you are accurate. If you wanted to use splash damage weapons, or you're not that accurate at hitting critical hits, go for something like a buddy system. It's a little slower on the mobbing situations, but it is better. Essentially, you're not reducing your damage by 50% if you're not hitting those crits. Drone Ranger is a perfect one for the hard modifier. The medium one, I would recommend Healy Avenger. Just couldn't get it all to roll at once. It's super irritating. Easy modifier, Galaxy Brain is a great option, particularly if you're using things like the Hellwalker. Getting all those pellets into one headshot does a ton of damage. Speed Demon's really good if you just want to zip around and have a ton of fun in the takedowns. Things like Big Kick Energy are good for some weapons, but if they have already some recoil, it kind of makes it impossible to use, so I don't personally use that one too much. But yeah, try and keep anything as neutral as possible. It's really difficult to get the perfect roll, but just make sure nothing ruins the build. You don't want anything that is immune to elemental damage, like that stupid high voltage trash in there. You don't want that. Now for the level 65 skill tree for our Rakk attack build, starting with a red tree, of course, go Rakk attack. I personally have the Flock and Load and Rakk Accelerate. If you want more healing, if you're not using that stopgap, put on the Falconer's Feast and the extra charge and cooldown rate. This one here, the Rakk Accelerate, put these two instead. But I keep these ones on here because I want Rakks to do a ton of damage against the melee one dudes, which they do in this build, by the way. As for skill points, 3 points and Leave No Trace, pretty much as always, getting ammo back into your magazine just for hitting critical hits. Things like the Hellwalker, you have so many pellets, you're going to get a bullet back in every time, which is amazing. Interplanetary Stalker, great kill skill, put 5 points in there for extra damage. Hunter's Eye is really good, particularly when using the Bounty Hunter class mod, because bosses are treated as humans, robotics, and beasts, so you're getting a ton of extra damage against bosses, and all of those bonuses apply all the time to any boss. Head count is also amazing, pretty much a must-have for Rakk attack. If you want your Rakks to be spammable, you definitely need to put on head count and hit all those critical hits. 3 points in Big Game, of course, a red tree. Then over to Most Dangerous Game for 3 points in here as well. This is an amazing kill skill for Flak. Try and get as many points into this via your class mod as you can. We managed to get the God Roll, 3 extra points in there, results in 50% gun damage, 20% critical hit damage. The handling, also quite good for a lot of laser point weapons. The pet damage as well, and it all lasts a minute and 20 seconds, or 120 seconds. It's actually 2 minutes, my bad, by killing a badass or named enemy. That happens all the time in takedowns, and you have that up pretty much the entire time. 1 point in Galactic Shadow for a cheap 15% critical hit damage. We put 2 points in Grim Harvest because we are using Rakk attack, so the Rakks benefit from that extra 20% damage. If you guys are like me and don't like reloading, I often put 2 points in Second Intention. So if you're using weapons that have a low mag size, maybe switch to that if you want, but you'll be sacrificing a little bit of damage out of here. Then down to Megavore, of course, fantastic capstone there. 20% chance to hit a critical hit anywhere in the body. Gets your action skill back quicker, using Rakk attacks more often. Then Leave No Trace, of course, getting bullets back in the mag more often on top of what they already are. Over to Green Tree, 5 points in Furious Attack, doing damage, gets more damage. 5 points in Overclocked, increased fire rate is amazing, just more damage per second with that. I put 5 points in Eager to Impress just for Rakk attack builds, honestly. Essentially, whenever you kill an enemy, you get your action skill cooldown back faster, which happens all the time mobbing situations. So that's why we can just constantly spam that immunity phase or the Frozen Heart Nova with Rakk attack, because we're never out of Rakk attack ability, essentially. That gets us down to Elictor Wounds. I always put a point in here for flak builds. Essentially, if you go down to a barrel, some stupid COV rocket launcher, or just some random elemental dot which you have no idea where it came from, you need pet to pick you up if there's no enemies in sight. So I always have that on. Turn, tail, and run, of course, health regen, damage reduction whilst moving, gun damage, and fire rate while standing still. So versing bosses, try and stand still to do that extra damage. And if you guys are low on health, just run and you'll get your health regen going. 3 points in the fast and the furious, gun damage, pet damage, movement speed, all great things, whilst above half health. I put 3 points in rage and recover. I often don't put it in here. It was just a little bit of a, I have 3 points, I need to get down here. We can't use hidden machine for this this build because Rakk attack, you are not invisible, you're not using red fang, so there's absolutely no bonuses for having that. I don't use that. The extra health there, I figured may as well have more health regen. I don't need extra max health. You can put 3 points here, you can put 3 points here. It's up to you guys. Then put a point into the power inside for 25% extra damage every time you hit Rakk attack. And if you're at full health at the time, you get 50% extra damage, and that's for 15 seconds. Because we're spamming Rakk attack like every 5 to 7 seconds, that is up all the time, which is super, super strong. Over to blue tree, 3 points in persistent hunter for extra gun damage. Action skill duration, useless for this ability, but we want to get down to the next row. 2 points in ferocity for that exact same reason. Extra pet damage there, which is helpful in this build. Pet does a fair bit of damage. A point in he bites to pair with 5 points in frenzy. Frenzy is pretty much a capstone in itself, which is crazy because it's literally in the second row of blue tree, which makes no sense, but I love it. Extra damage every time pet does damage to an enemy. You get a stack of frenzy, 10 stacks total with 6 points in there, 1 extra from our class mod. You get 48% extra damage at max stacks. That is literally 2% less than the green tree capstone, and you have this pretty much all the damn time because you pair it with he bites. Whenever pet is hit by an enemy, they reflect damage back at other enemies, and that stacks frenzy as well, which is instantaneous in the melee 1 takedown or guardian takedown, etc. So you're always keeping that extra damage, which is insane. As for pet choice, we currently have the Jabberon, and that would be my recommendation for bossing situations only, because he has an SMG and he shoots really quick and it stacks frenzy like that in like the Grave Ward fight. By the time you make it to the end of the platform, he should have stacked frenzy to 10 stacks. You'll have that extra crazy amount of damage. Where the Skag and the Spider Ant don't really stack it that quickly. They mostly rely on he bites because they are melee enemies or they have really slow ranged shots. For pretty much any other situation, melee 1 takedown, guardian takedown, I'd recommend the Great Horn Skag. An extra 5% damage, 10% gun damage. He also stacks frenzy via he bites really quickly as well and does a fair amount of damage himself. The other choice there is the Spider Ant Scorcher. He does 5% less damage, only 10% elemental damage, but he also has health regen. So if you guys are a little bit squishy with the build, then I'd recommend trying out this guy. And he does the most amount of damage, I'm pretty certain, out of all the pets. With that fire attack, it's kind of insane. One dinks a lot of enemies just by himself. But yeah, that's everything I have for my level 65 Mayhem 10 Rakk attack black build for bossing and mobbing. This thing, pretty much FL4K's twin brother, he's an absolute machine, ton of fun to use, ton of different strats you can use as well. Really hope you guys did enjoy this video or found it helpful. If you did, don't forget to smash subscribe down below. I really appreciate it. We just smashed through 15k subs, which is insane. Thank you so much for all the support and love on the videos recently, particularly we've been going off. Really appreciate it. If you guys want to help me out even more, you can smash a like down below, share the video. It really does help me out. If you guys want to check us out over on Twitch, I live stream every day just after I post my YouTube videos. That's linked down below, or just search CodeMQ on Twitch. We usually make these builds, find new cool buffed weapons, or just random challenges, stuff like that. Hang out with chat and have a good time. We also have a Discord and a Twitter if you want to check that out as well. Other than that, hope you guys have a fantastic day. I shall see you guys next video and I'll live stream. Till then, adios.